Let's start by understanding what makes Pi Network genuinely different right now. Most blockchain projects operate under an assumption: if you build hype, the price goes up, and that attracts attention. So they optimize for hype, they organize massive launches, they coordinate influencer campaigns, they focus on narrative momentum. Pi Network has essentially rejected that entire framework. Instead, the team is choosing to build utility first and let adoption follow naturally. And while the crypto community is conditioned to interpret anything that doesn't pump price as bad news, what's actually happening is something far more intelligent. The project is at a critical junction. Mainnet is live. The network needs real transactions flowing through it. The ecosystem needs real applications. The token needs real use cases. You can't fake that. You can't market that. You have to build it. And that's exactly what Pi is doing. Here's what most crypto coverage is missing. Stellar Protocol version 25 isn't just a software update, it's a fundamental infrastructure decision that determines what Pi can actually build in the future. So, with Stellar version 25, zero-knowledge proofs are now possible. Zero-knowledge proofs are, honestly, pretty critical because they let transactions get verified without revealing the underlying data. Now, I get it, that's not exactly the kind of thing that's going to light up Twitter. But when it comes to real-world applications, like payments, identity verification, or corporate transactions, that's actually foundational infrastructure. With this update, Pi can now build features that, really, traditional blockchains just can't pull off. We're talking about privacy-preserving payments, selective data disclosure, and, yeah, compliance-friendly transactions. These features are a huge deal for institutional adoption, even though they're basically invisible to retail speculators. The core team is basically saying, hey, we're not racing to add features just because they look flashy. We're building features that actual institutions and real users genuinely need. And honestly, that's a totally different optimization function than what you see in most blockchain projects. Now let's talk about something genuinely important that's being overlooked: the no-code app studio. Think about what this actually means. You can now build a cryptocurrency application without knowing how to code. You don't need to be a developer, you don't need to understand smart contracts, you don't need to spend months learning blockchain infrastructure. You can literally use simple prompts to build applications that run on Pi Network. This is the difference between crypto for developers and crypto for everyone. Most blockchain projects are optimized for technical users. Pi is optimized for accessibility. That's a radically different design choice. And the ecosystem is already responding. WordPi just launched. A simple word game with daily challenges. It might sound trivial, but honestly, that's exactly what drives real user engagement. Not flashy pre-sales, not 1,000 times moonshot promises. It's these simple, repeatable daily applications that keep people coming back. The no-code studio also supports test Pi payments inside applications. What this means is, app creators can test real payment flows without spending mainnet tokens, so they can prototype business models, they can iterate, and eventually, they can deploy to production when they're ready. This is how ecosystems actually scale, not through one massive launch event, but through gradual accumulation of small applications that people actually use every day. So Pi actually restarted mainnet mapping back in January. On day 1, 3.4 million Pi was mapped. Now, that's not a massive number in isolation, but honestly, it reveals something pretty important about Pi's approach. Most projects would probably announce this as a huge success: 3.4 million mapped on day 1. They'd create FOMO, push marketing campaigns, and, really try to drive speculation. So, Pi's team is, intentionally restraining expectations right now. They're noticing that, honestly, most of the mapped accounts are holding really small balances, like under 10 Pi in a lot of cases, and their plan is to map the larger balances gradually, but only after the ecosystem is stabilized and activity picks up. This is actually a pretty intelligent approach. Large balance holders, well, they represent existing wealth, while small balance holders show accessibility and bring in new users. Building up security and adoption slowly, starting with the smaller holders and then scaling up, is way safer than just dumping large balances onto a network that's still pretty immature. And, the team is actively warning users not to trust rumors about protocol upgrades. They're saying to wait for official announcements, just ignore social media claims, and definitely don't make investment decisions based on speculation. That's the opposite of how crypto projects usually communicate. Most projects, they fuel FOMO through ambiguous statements and coordinated hype. But Pi is explicitly choosing transparency over speculation momentum. Let's address the 150 million Pi token unlocked directly. In normal crypto projects, this would be catastrophic for price, massive token release, supply expansion, selling pressure. classic mechanics. But here's what's actually happening. Pi is timing this unlock alongside genuine utility expansion. Stellar Protocol version 25 is launching, App Studio is expanding, Mainnet Mapping is accelerating, real transaction volume is increasing. If you have actual utility absorbing that supply expansion, the unlock becomes, well, kind of irrelevant. The tokens get used for transactions, they get locked in smart contracts, they get allocated for app services, they circulate for actual purposes instead of just getting dumped on exchanges. The team is essentially making a bet. If they build real utility alongside token supply expansion, the market will eventually understand that token economics work when the token is actually being used. That bet might be right or wrong, but it's a coherent strategy. It's not release tokens and hope the price survives. It's release tokens alongside infrastructure that actually consumes them. Alright, if this breakdown of Pi's utility-first development strategy just changed how you think about which blockchain projects are positioned for real adoption, you need to understand the deeper mechanics of how actual user ecosystems scale. Most creators talk about price predictions and market cap rankings, but there's an entire intermediate layer where real adoption is actually built. If this analysis of Stellar Protocol version 25, no-code development, and deliberate token economics helped you see why boring infrastructure beats exciting speculation, smash that like button right now. It tells YouTube this utility-focused analysis matters, and it helps us push this kind of infrastructure-first analysis to more people who actually want to understand which projects will dominate when adoption becomes real. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. When blockchain projects execute real adoption strategies, we break them down with precision. We analyze infrastructure decisions, ecosystem incentives, and long-term positioning in ways most channels won't touch. Let's keep going. WordPi launching inside the Pi browser is actually a microcosm of what makes this strategy brilliant. It's a simple word game. No groundbreaking innovation, no revolutionary technology, but it's designed to solve a real problem, keeping users engaged in the ecosystem. And it does something most crypto applications completely fail at. It creates daily habit loops. Users come back every day to complete a challenge. They engage with the network regularly. They become active participants instead of passive holders. This is how real ecosystems build network effects, not through one massive adoption event, but through gradual accumulation of small applications that people use every day. Compare this to most Layer 1 blockchains. They launch, they pump, they attract speculators. Then what? Most users stop using the network because there's nothing to actually use it for. But with Pi, the goal is clear build applications that people use repeatedly, then scale that usage over time. Pi is also continuing to push node usage. Node runners help process transactions, test features, and support decentralization. This isn't exciting for speculators. Nodes don't generate quick profits. They require technical knowledge and computational resources. But nodes are critical infrastructure. They're the foundation of decentralization. And by encouraging node growth alongside app development, Pi is building a resilient network that can't be shut down or controlled by a single entity. Here's the fundamental insight. Boring development wins, exciting speculation loses. Pi network is choosing slow, methodical expansion over fast, flashy announcements. Stellar v25 implementation over influencer partnerships. No-code app development over celebrity endorsements. Gradual token mapping over aggressive unlocks. None of this creates excitement. None of this generates FOMO. None of this fits the crypto narrative of get rich quick, but it's the infrastructure strategy that produces real adoption. Alright, so here's what I want you to walk away with. Pi Network is operating under a completely different assumption than most crypto projects. Most projects assume, build hype first, adoption follows eventually. Pi assumes, build adoption first, hype follows naturally. One approach sells tokens to speculators. One approach builds networks that people actually use. Stellar Protocol v25, the no-code app studio, deliberate Mainnet mapping strategy, WordPi launching with daily habit loops. These aren't flashy announcements, but they're the decisions that determine long-term value. The 150 million token unlock should terrify most investors. But for Pi, it's just infrastructure expansion alongside genuine utility scaling. Whether this strategy succeeds depends on real adoption, whether enough people actually use Pi Network for real transactions, whether the ecosystem accumulates enough applications that people visit daily. That's uncertain. Adoption is always uncertain. But the strategy is coherent, the execution is deliberate, the timeline is realistic, and that's more than most blockchain projects can claim. Thanks for watching TJ Croach. If this breakdown of Pi Network's utility-first development strategy and long-term positioning helped you understand how real adoption actually gets built, please drop a comment below. Do you think Pi's boring infrastructure approach will beat other Layer 1s chasing hype? And before you leave, check out our latest video on how blockchain ecosystems actually scale. I break down the exact mechanisms that separate projects with real usage from projects that are just casinos. The link is pinned in the comments. Stay analytical, stay focused on fundamentals, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.